It was a testament to their courage, their resilience. It was the Pentagon's finest hour. In the days and weeks that followed, the search and recovery efforts continued. I witnessed it firsthand when I came here to these grounds on September 12th, 2001. I saw the enormous black gash in the side of this edifice of our national defense. I saw the rescue and recovery personnel working diligently through the debris. I'll never forget what I saw that day. I saw heroism. I saw strength. There were firefighters, nurses, members of our armed forces, law enforcement. There were volunteers and Pentagon personnel, all working together in the hopes that there might be more to rescue in the work to recover and to begin to rebuild, not just this building, but to rebuild and re-strengthen our nation. And as they worked, just as it does today, our flag was still there. The stars and stripes were hung spontaneously from this west wall as a sign of America's strength and our commitment to freedom. We honor the fallen by remembering them. But as Secretary Mattis said, we also honor them by ensuring that we do everything in our power as a nation to prevent the evil of radical Islamic terrorism from ever reaching our shores again. Even before the smoke cleared and the fires had put out, Americans began to answer the call to step forward to serve this nation. And they did so by the millions. The lines outside recruiting stations across this country reached around the block in big cities and small towns. It's amazing to think. In the 17 years since that day, nearly 5.5 million Americans volunteered to serve in the armed forces of the United States. Those courageous men and women turned a day of tragedy into a triumph of freedom. As a nation, by their courage, we rallied together to meet the enemy on our terms, on their soil. Because of these heroes, for 17 years, because of the extraordinary work of law enforcement all across this country, there's not been another major terrorist attack on American soil. Today we remember the service and we remember the sacrifice of those who answered the call. And on this day, on 9/11, we also remember the nearly 7,000 Americans who've given their lives on the field of battle since September the 11th. We honor them and those who were lost on this day also by supporting the men and women who serve in our armed forces today. And under our administration, I'm proud to say that we're making the strongest military in the history of the world stronger still. Last year, President Trump signed the largest increase in our national defense in a generation. And with that renewed support, we're giving our men and women in uniform and their commanding officers the resources and rules of engagement they need to fight and win where the perpetrators of this attack found safe haven. It's also important to recall that the terrorists of 9/11 inspired new enemies to spread violence and their genocidal ideology across the wider world. And today, every American should be proud that thanks to the courage of our armed forces and the leadership of our commander-in-chief, ISIS is on the run. Their caliphate has crumbled, and we will soon drive ISIS from the face of the earth. The evil that descended on America 17 years ago still lingers in our world. So to any who would wish us harm, let them know this. As the American people have shown every day since that bright September morning. As President Trump said on these grounds 1 year ago, in his words, we overcome every challenge. We triumph over every evil. And we remain united as one nation under God. Max Belkey grew up in a big family on a small farm in Minnesota. He was drafted out of high school into the United States Army and served for 2 years on the Korean Peninsula. Like so many veterans of the Korean War, he re-enlisted after the conflict ended. And more than 15 years later, he took up the cause of liberty fighting in the jungles of Vietnam. On March 29, 1973, Master Sergeant Max Belkey became the last American combat soldier to leave Saigon. On September 11, 2001, Master Sergeant Belkey was among the first to be declared lost here at the Pentagon. Today, on this September 11th, we mourn with those who mourn and grieve with those who grieve. But we do not grieve like those who have no hope, because heroes give us hope. Today we remember our beloved fallen, whose names are enshrined at this memorial and will forever be etched in the hearts of the American people for as long as this nation endures. Today we remember the families of those we lost, who endured this tragedy with strength and courage. And today we remember the brave men and women who responded here and in New York City and in the air over Pennsylvania and on fields of battle in the 17 years since, who considered our lives more important than their own. And today we breathe a prayer for all of them and all of you. A prayer that I'm told that Master Sergeant Belkey recited every time he spoke to veterans in gatherings large and small across this country. He would always end with the same words, and so I end. To you who are gathered here and have suffered this loss, to those we remember who look down from glory, and to those who fight and stand for our freedom this very hour. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Thank you for the opportunity to address you today. We claim this ground in remembrance of September 11th, 2001. We honor the 184 people whose lives were lost, their families, and all who sacrificed, that we may live in freedom. May God bless them. May God bless you. And may God bless the United States of America.